high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Yeah. Boom to the hey, all you sports fans out there in the tubosphere, or to you, the individuals, part of the collective. Welcome to the OMSR Gen 5.0 with your brief but very concise host, Will the Alternative Sports Row, doing the annual Bracketology Breakdownology. Alright, so just quickly and briefly, one episode only this year, not four per region. The best talking points coming up. I would just like to say, hear Reese Davis talking like me. I see Colin Cowherd 2 years ago do a half-hour review of his best sound bites. Even changed the graphic to the color scheme that I had on the OMSR. Techno tunes to introduce, highlights after the first half with musical credits too. Where do you think they got all that from? A little shout out would be nice once in a while, but this has been a hobby and it's like I'm just putting it out there for the record. Alright, Bracketology, Breakdownology. Dickie V, morphing into Billy Packer. Coach Calipari talking about, is Kentucky too low seated? Jim Boeheim, Syracuse, one of those, is that because of respect that a bubble 1913 team, 19 and 13 rather, made it into the tournament? And, Villanova, can you win more than one game? And San Diego State, plus Fresno State, way too low seated. Who's going to be the 116 this year? I called Coastal Carolina last year. I'm telling you, I looked foolish after they played, who was it? Virginia. They kicked ass in their conference tournament. I still stand by that. All right, so this year, who is the possible 116 matchup? Hampton. Watch out for them. Middle Tennessee State. Not that they're 116, I'm saying watch out for some of the upsets. Because I called it 2-3 years ago, Florida Gulf Coast. Now they're sort of a mainstay. Hampton, close last year, didn't quite make it. You've got Wisconsin there at Milwaukee if they had the same 7-footer from 2 years ago. I'm going from memory here because I have to admit this year I just didn't have time to watch hardly any college basketball, so I'm going from memory. But Stony Brook getting there for the first time? I don't think so. Unless it's the team from like 2 years ago, which Hampton is. The 116, never happened before. If this year it's going to happen, that's where it will happen. Alright, so with regard to Dickie V turning to Billy Packer, those of you my age and your 40-somethings, you've been watching the tournament since the 80s. Early 80s, started playing the game to boot. Billy Packer, Duke, pom, 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 pom. I should have my Duke, I should have props out here. That's what ushered him out of the play-by-play, rather the color analysis, after all those Duke trips and, people were fed up with Billy Packer being a Duke booster boy. I think that's happened to Dickie V. When Ashley Judd kissed him last year, she instilled in him a love of Kentucky. Kentucky's going to make it to the Final Four. You will hear that. Coach Calipari in his off-the-cuff kind of way, well, what do you, because, like last year when he was talking about when they finally lifted the restrictions on, the table for athletes. I'm bringing all these great athletes to Kentucky because they get peanut butter on a bagel, which was a violation before. Well said then, well said now. Certainly a little bit of comedy relief. And you'll hear the coaches after the fact talk about that. In Villanova, can we not see the flute player crying when she's playing the school tune because you make it into the Sweet 16? And the Syracuse thing, I'll let Boeheim speak for himself. It's one of my big four schools. I know, with the 19 and 13 record. You decide. All right, roll.
serious, Mr. Sheldon. Patient launch here. Got it. Looking to Sheldon.
All right, this is Kansas' 6th #1 seed in the last 12 tournaments. During that span, the Jayhawks have more losses in the opening weekend than they do Final Four appearances. Now, if they face the top seed in each round, this is their path. And that 8-9 matchup could be UConn as well. They also have a 4-5 potential of Cal and Maryland. This is a loaded bracket among those teams. Jeff, who is most likely to knock out Kansas before they get to the Final Four?
I really like the Cal team. You're talking about athleticism up front. They got big guards. Ty Wallace is back and healthy. This team guards you. They get big. They're physical. They are playing at a high level. And Jabari Bird, when he's making shots, they are really good. Cal is a very tough out.
The best thing for Kansas, they don't have any mid-majors, no banana peels to slip on. It's all big guys, big shots against big shots. So it's not going to be kind of hanging on to it too tight, worrying about, no, we can't lose to these guys. That's not going to be an issue. Colorado is very good. They've got a guy named Josh Scott, who is a senior big guy, who is an excellent rebounder, interior scorer. The issue is Colorado going to have enough big guys to deal with Kansas? Because Kansas has really good depth. They can shoot it. Their guards are excellent. And I think Devontae Graham has become a much better player over the last 2 months.
I think nobody's talking about, and look, I know they've had their struggles throughout the year, but we always talk about this, RD. If you have some dudes, Maryland, I mean, look, Rasheed Suleiman, Melo Trimbo, I know Melo Trimbo's been a little bit cold as of late, but that could be an interesting matchup if it happens with KU because they have the guards that can absolutely score the basketball. And they have a legitimate front line in Diamond Stone, Robert Carter. Jake Layman's kind of been unknown all year, but if they strike lightning bottom.
Yeah, I think something's missing with Maryland, though. You have two teams in that half of the bracket that are peaking right now. California's one of them. They lost a tough game, but with a young team in the Pac-12 tournament, I think they could draw confidence from it. And UConn, we keep talking about Colorado. UConn, this time of year is their time of year. They're peaking. They got some size.
Maryland almost did just beat Michigan State, though. I mean, the game came down to the wire, even though they struggled to score the last 10 minutes of the ball game.
That was bad. That was a bad game.
Tell you.
That was a bad game.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Maryland's got to stop turning it over, and they got to rebound better. And they have not performed well toward the end of the season. They're good, but they're better than they're playing. They better start playing better.
RD, I like your UConn pick. Breimer's back, which is really good, and Jalen Adams takes that team to another level because it gets Gibbs off the ball, and Gibbs can have shoot.
I don't think their guards can compete with Kansas.
But relative to the talent, Maryland hasn't rebounded the way it ought to when you consider the size. All right, Dick Vitale comes in now. Dick, we've talked about this loaded bracket. Who is it that can beat Kansas and give them another upset in the tournament?
Well, you know, Reese, I look at that draw there, and obviously, as all the guys said, for being the #1 overall, #1 seed, they got a raw deal, man. They got some tough opposition along the way. I agree with Jay. Colorado can be very dangerous, probably in the second round. But the team, to me, that would be really dangerous if they play their A game and play to their potential. And they have not. They have been up and down. They've had great moments, but down the stretch, the last maybe 15 games, have not played to the level they're capable of. And that's the Terps of Maryland. I think many of us were projecting early in the year when the season started, top 2 or 3 maybe in the nation. Trimble's very capable of having that big moment. And remember this, guys, we can talk all the regular season we want. I think it's unfortunate in a way. It all comes down, basically, what have you done in March Madness? And I think that Maryland could rectify some of the critics out there by going out and winning that game, and they're very capable to making that happen.
I agree with you, Dick. I think it's all about, look, it's a new season when you start the tournament. And a guy that can absolutely go with the basketball is Melo Trimble. I agree with what Dickie V said 100%.
Chemistry is also important this time of the year. I'm not sold on Maryland's chemistry. There's something wrong with that team. We talked about potential since November. You know what? If you haven't figured it out,
did you forget that game they played against
March,
North Carolina? Do we forget that game they played against North Carolina at North Carolina? It just goes to show you their potential. I understand what we're talking about. Hey, they've been up and down, they've been volatile, but they have the talent to play against really good teams.
Comes courtesy of the Kentucky Wildcats. Boy, Jamal Murray, the blue arrow, the three with 18 seconds to go to knock off a tough-minded Texas A&M team in overtime and give the Wildcats yet another SEC tournament championship. Their 29th. Dick Vitale called that game with Brad Nessler. Dick, Kentucky is now a 4 seed in the East. They're taking on Stony Brook. You said earlier you thought the Wildcats were seeded too low. Why?
Well, you know, they've been really coming out strong. We played really well. I thought they played so well today against the quality Texas A&M team. I think the one thing about Kentucky makes them dangerous if they get their front court people to contribute, like Poitras and Labissiere, if they can join, because their backcourt is lethal. I mean, you talk and factor in Ulis, and you bring in Murray, and don't forget about Briscoe defensively and the way he attacks the basket. In fact, I'm going to go on record right now and tell you, Reese, I think they're going to the Final Four. I think they're going to beat Indiana in that second round. They'll have a little tough time with Stony Brook. They got the kid Warney who had 43, a good inside player, but I really think too much Calipari. He's unbelievable in a postseason. Calipari, Izzo, and if Patino was in here, we're talking Italian special, we're talking rigatoni, marinara, the emotion, the passion, the energy that those guys pass on to their teams in a one and done is rare, unique, and they're winners. So I got Calipari going to play Xavier for the right to go to the Final Four out of that section. And I know that includes North Carolina, who is dangerous, obviously, and has a great team. But I really like Kentucky's backcourt, and I think in tournament time, if you're strong in the perimeter, you have a chance.
Kentucky going to the Final Four, Dick, has been a virtual lock lately. They've already been 4 times in the last 5 years. And when you wind up giving Kentucky a seed where it is right now, a 3 seed or worse, under John Calipari, look what's happened. The Wildcats in the previous 2 instances had a first-round game decided by single digits, then went on to the Final Four. Of course, that's become common practice since Coach Cal wound up on the Bluegrass. John Calipari joining us now. So, John, Dick Vitale saying, and those of us also questioning it, perhaps maybe you didn't get quite as high a seed as you might have expected. What was your reaction when you saw you were on the 4 line?
And you, wait a minute, now you've been following this, you're surprised? You not watched this over the last few years?
Yeah.
That surprised you?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, A&M got a 3 seed. Did we not play a basketball game today? I'm happy for A&M. They got a 3. I said, what in the world? Are we going to get a 3 or a 2? And I was surprised we didn't get a 5. Look, all the stuff, I always say this, when you misseed a team, it's not that team you hurt. It's the teams they play. That's who you hurt. Ask Wichita State. There's no reason they should have played us in the second round. They were 31-0. They were the #1 team. And all of a sudden they play us. Look, at the end of the day, they're not stealing my joy, that little group of 10 who says this year it's top 50 wins. Last year it was road wins. 2 years ago it was RPI. It's a moving target. Instead of making it, this is how we're going to rate these teams. They're not stealing my joy. We just won a championship. We'll go to Des Moines. I wouldn't have mind going to Anchorage. I thought they tried to send us to Anchorage because, look, I watched the Alaska Bush people and the Last Frontier. I would have had the Kilchers right behind my bench. It would have been unbelievable.
Alaska Monsters.
The Warriors, throw them in there.
Chippies.
I mean, it would have been fun.
Stuff
They're
there.
not stealing my joy. If they think they are, they're out of their mind. They build my team up. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so
I just did a Dickie B. I did a Dickie B.
Yeah.
Here's how you know I'm Italian. Look at the nose. You know I'm Italian when you see that nose.
Well, at least it's not growing. That's always a good thing, right? Hey, why is it then, if you feel like that you're not getting your due from the committee, why?
I mean, you just look over the years, it is what it is.
Well,
and there
what
are
is
other
it?
teams that get a path. I don't know, but because again, we don't have basketball people in that group. The criteria, I argued with them. What is the criteria? You ready? Every member has his own criteria. What? So is it top 50 wins? Is it road wins? Is it strength of schedule? Is it team efficiency, which should play a part in this? That means you understand basketball. We're the #1 team offensively, efficiency-wise in the country. I don't know. We should have maybe been a 6 seed, a 7 seed, an 8 seed. I knew people would say, how in the world did they have A&M a 3 and Kentucky a 4 when they just played a game?
Joining us, the Wildcats will open against Stony Brook, a 4-13 matchup in the East. On that half of the bracket, big picture in the Midwest, Syracuse opens as a 10 seed against Dayton. That's in the Midwest, and we're joined by the head coach of the Orange, Jim Boeheim. Jim, your team was one of the ones debated about whether the Orange would be included in the field or whether they wouldn't. What was it like for you waiting to see if you'd make it?
It was hard. These 2-hour shows are not good for coaches. I mean, and then I had to just listen to Cal go on this 40-minute rant here. I mean, I'm in the studio. I have a big nose. I'm not Italian. I don't know what he's talking about. But he's, you know, it's funny. John says a lot, but he does make a lot of good points. He really does. But we're happy to be in this tournament. I mean, we had a tough season. We had a really tough stretch during the middle. I'm sitting home just, you know, throwing things. My wife wanted me out of the house, trust me. And we dug a hole, but this team dug itself out of the hole. I was worried going in, but when I saw teams getting in with only 2 wins against the top 50 and we had 5, I started to get a little comfort level that we were going to make the tournament. And the thing that helped me most is Seth picked us, and he knows the most about basketball. So I'm going with Seth from now on in.
Obviously, Coach Boeheim respects and understands the smartest man in the room.
For today.
Because I picked you. If I had him out, I was done.
Smartest
You'd
room.
be done.
Are you the only guy in the room? Smartest guy in the room? Hey,
the guy to my left is very quiet right now.
Yeah, I know. He always thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. Jim, this team, you mentioned the struggles, had to deal with your absence for a while. There was questions about how the committee would treat your team. How did you react to the way that your team was evaluated, and how does it make you feel about the committee?
Well, in the past, the committee has taken teams that have big wins. That's been something they've always done, especially road wins. I don't think anybody else had as good 2 road wins in the bubble that we did at Duke and Texas A&M, although not road, on a neutral court. So there's 2 top 20 wins, neutral court win, 1 neutral court, 1 home. I thought those would help us. We had 8 top 75 wins, so I thought that was going to play into it. And I still think, and again, the committee, there's been a couple years that I thought we were going to get in. We didn't get in. You know, and when I look back on those years, we didn't have those good wins. We didn't have non-conference wins. And I think that's why we schedule these games. We play these games so that we'll have an opportunity to have some non-conference wins that can help you if you're on the bubble or close. And that's how it played out for us. I don't think that the committee needed to consider whether I was there or not, because we had enough wins against the top 50 that I think that's what determined that Syracuse got into the tournament.
Well, Jim, congratulations on making the field. Look forward to seeing your team play against Dayton. Jim Boeheim, head coach at Syracuse, joining us there in the Midwest as the 10 seed against Dayton. Let's keep it moving with coaches now. Villanova head coach Jay Wright joins us. Villanova, champions of the Big East regular season. They're a 2 seed in the South, open against UNC Asheville. That is the bracket in which Kansas is in. Jay, first of all, congratulations on a great season. Whenever the tournament comes around, the question comes about the struggles that you guys have had early. How have you addressed that with your team this year?
Well, those struggles aren't as difficult as I got bumped for Boeheim. I've been waiting. I had to listen all the way through Cal. I had to do the whole Cal thing. I don't mind being bumped for Boeheim, but don't make me sit through Cal before that. I prepare myself when I talk to Cal. I get my phone, my coffee. I know he's going to go. And I feel bad for you guys. What does it say about your room? Seth is the smartest guy in the room. What does it say about your room?
Seth is a popular punching bag with you coaches. I also know he happens to be a sounding board for a lot of you sometimes.
Because we know him.
Yeah.
We know him. We know him. We competed against him.
When you look at your team, Jay,
I got to give you my answer. All right.
Okay.
We got to answer. We got to answer. I know we haven't gotten past the second round. The good thing about answering that question, Reese, is that around here, and our fans, people have been saying it all year. Like, well, it doesn't matter what you do this year. You got to get past the second round. Well, we got college basketball players that only get to play 4 years. Like, this season meant a lot to them. I was proud of how our guys played throughout the year. They did a great job. Now we're actually at a point where we can finally do something about it. And I think our guys are looking forward to that. There is the pressure to get past the second round, but I think our players' own personal drive supersedes that pressure. Our guys are driven to be successful in this tournament.
how much do you look at your path? Because I know it's difficult for a coach to say, but personally, I think your path's pretty good. You seem to match up pretty well with the teams in the bottom half of your bracket. How quickly do you assess your path to the Sweet 16 and beyond?
You know what, Reese? I was listening to Cal's explanation of that was bizarre. What he said is, you can say we're going to look ahead to play this team. That team gets beaten. It blows your whole plan. The year we went to the Final Four, we had the worst path ever. We had to play UCLA in the second round. We had to play Duke. We had to play Pitt, who was number 2. And we looked at that path and thought, oh, my God, this is crazy. And that was the year we went to the Final Four. So the one thing we've learned in this tournament, it's one game at a time. Everybody says it, but it's really true.
When you look at conference play in the Big East this year, how well do you think that prepared you for postseason play?
I think it prepares us very well. I think it's two distinctive issues. Like we've been successful in our conference, but our last 2 seasons really in the Big East in the NCAA tournament came down to matchups. 2 years ago, we ran into UConn in the second round. They won the national championship. Last year, we played an NC State team that had won at Louisville, beat Duke, won at Carolina, a very, very good team, and played a great game. We had a shot to win it at the end. Now, with that said, that's how we look at it. But with that said, we still have to answer to that, I think we've got as good a shot this year because of Big East play as we have had any year.